It's James Steinhubel on TVU, and today we have Cindy Stibbard, owner of Divorced Redefined. How are you doing, Cindy?
I'm very well. How are you, James?
Really well, really well. It's been really nice to visit with you, and we have so much to talk about.
We
Just
do.
tell us right off the bat, what is Divorced Redefined?
So I established Divorce Redefined as I was going through my own divorce, and it is a divorce coaching company, a practice where I support clients going through the divorce process, either pre, during, or post-divorce, really helping them guide them through this process. Because I think initially everyone thinks when you go through divorce, the first call you need to make is to a lawyer, when in actual fact, it should be to a divorce coach. Because I can help navigate the process in terms of what type of divorce they want, set them up with some really vetted professionals that will support them along the way, and then really think about what it is that they want moving forward and not spend the tens of thousands of dollars that your lawyer will end up charging you right off the bat. Of course, you need the legal advice in order to make the process happen in the end, but I'm there to guide you through it, to help you with that emotional battle, to also think about what's best for the kids, how to communicate with your ex-spouse. It might be high conflict, and I can help with that, and also help to communicate with all of the legal professionals that are going to be on this path ahead. So I'm there as really as their quarterback, and I'm meeting them right where they are in the process. It can be really scary. I've been there. I know what it's like. I know that overwhelming feeling of fear and, impending financial devastation, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I can really help my clients save money and get through the process as gently as possible and onto a better path for their future.
So, what I'm hearing is that you're not necessarily an advocate for divorce. Divorce is happening, right?
Yeah.
It's out there. I'm sure the stats, pull it up, and even in this time. So, I want to talk a little bit about managing hooks and emotions, but before that, there's something that you talked about, which was gently healing the hurt, betrayal, fear, anger, and there was one more. I can't remember what it was, but talk about that. That's so important because the divorce is big.
Yeah, I think divorce is big, and what really guides it it is our emotional triggers. And getting through that is difficult. And seeing a therapist is one of those things that you can do, but it's unpacking things from the past about why you even got here in the first place. My job is to really meet you at the front door of this divorce and manage the emotions along the way. You're going to come across many feelings that you're dealing with, whether it's betrayal, whether you've chosen this path for yourself and you're dealing with the hurt and the shock that you've caused along the way, or you've been blindsided by this process. So many triggers come up and cause us to put obstacles and impede the process for us along the way. And so my job is to really help to open up what those hooks are. Are you attached to the family home? Are you concerned about your financial future? Are you an at-home mom who's now concerned about sharing her job and the only role that she knew how to do with now your spouse half the time? There's so many emotions that are attached to this, and we can work it out so that your emotions can become separate from the process of divorce. So what I like to say is we're trying to separate the story of divorce, which is very valid and very real and very raw, from the business of divorce, because going down that path of what you need financially, realistically, logically for your future is built on the numbers of it, where you want to go down this path, and the emotions are dealt with on a separate basis. So I really help the clients to gain clarity, have a better vision on that, at the same time as really supporting them through all those, really hard triggers and emotions that come along with divorce, because we put a wall up. When we're hurt, when we're angry, we put a wall up, and it actually impedes the process. And lawyers have a hard time dealing with clients who are really emotional, and it ends up taking you longer and costing you more. And I don't want that to happen for my clients.
It sounds, the support that you're talking about is very very interesting, but you can't do this all yourself. It takes a team to do this, right?
It does. And so what I do is set up professionals for my clients along the way. So choosing really really strong legal representation in terms of the type of divorce they want. I mean, there's simple divorce from almost do it yourself to collaboration to mediation to litigation to court. Like, it can go on such a stream depending on what they need. Then we do need some people in place, like a divorce financial advisor. For me, those people were the make or break for my divorce. I had no idea that was something that I really needed in the process. And it really made everything very clear when it came down to numbers, because at the end of the day, that's really what this turns into, is it becomes a numbers game after the emotions are dealt with. What is it that we really have here on the table to share or to divide, and how does it look like for my future? And then having people in place that are professionals to help deal with the children. There are great parenting coordinators that have the children's best interest in mind. And how do you share them? How do you schedule this going forward? Because everything that you decide along the way becomes, at the end, part of your official court-ordered divorce agreement or your separation agreement. So you want to make sure that all of those things that you decide on and that you agree to make sense for you in the future. Because once that's in there, it's difficult to change. It costs money. It costs a lot of reopening cans of worms that you may not want. So getting to the process of making that agreement at the end of the day really workable for you is the most important thing. And in the way, we're not spending all of the retainer that you've just spent on your lawyer. We're getting all of these other professionals to have a way in that's going to cost a lot less in the process. But your gain is so much more.
It's such an interesting approach. We all know people who literally are still living in trauma almost because of their divorces, right? And whether they wanted it or not, right? But this takes this takes like a fascinating depth of soft skill. And you have a Bachelor of Arts and a Bachelor of Education, and your combined education is educational psychology. So I sense you have a real subtlety of knowing what to do. Tell us about your background. Like, you're very wise and but very forward, encouraging, intelligent. Tell us who are you?
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, education started for me a long time ago. I went into teaching and became a teacher, and was an elementary school teacher for a long time. And then I started working with students that had learning disabilities, dyslexia. My son actually has dyslexia, which is quite ironic. And from there, I grew into becoming more of an, I guess, executive functioning coach and teacher along the way with my 20 years of education. And helping people and helping children was always a really strong, intrinsic, I guess, place for me. I really felt that's where my purpose was. And then when I got divorced, I realized that I needed to, I had this opportunity to really go for my dreams. I had this chance to share my kids half the time, which nobody gets to do. I had all this time to really invest in me. What is it that I really wanted to do? And I realized that divorce sucked. Getting divorced sucked, but being divorced doesn't suck. So how do I get people through the process and feel as empowered as I feel after going through it? And I just want to help others to be able to actualize their biggest potential, to know that there's so much life and so much opportunity after divorce. And so my training as a certified divorce coach turned then into training for a chartered career coach, because it just seemed to make sense to me for myself. I kind of transitioned careers and opened up a new world, which I feel a lot of people my age, I mean, I'm middle-aged, turning 45 in 2 weeks, and oh my God, I hadn't worked really in 12 years. I was at home as a mom. What am I going to do with my life? And that in itself is such a huge emotional trigger and such a fear for people. And I want to help them realize that you have so much more life to live. Like, there's so much more opportunity. So that's the path. And along the way, I've taken a lot of courses to maybe eventually become a family mediator. I'm working on my designation to be a family mediator along the way. And these courses are really helping me with a knowledge base and how to do this in a gentle way that can be really effective for your future and for your kids. So my why is that I just want to help people. I want them to find a new life, a new passion, and realize that divorce is not the end of the road.
So people, we're in the time here. So what would be signs for them, men or women? What would be the signs that they should maybe give a divorce coach a call?
I think if you've been struggling with your relationship, a lot of times we sit there in this complacency of a relationship and we don't really know what to do. We've lost touch with it. A big indication in terms of an emotion is if you realize that you're indifferent to this person. So you're no longer really happy about them, but you're also no longer really sad. You don't care if they're there or they're not there. You're coexisting. At that point, emotions have almost died. So even coming to me as a divorce coach, I'm not going to guide you down the path of, okay, it's time to get divorced. It's all about where you want to go. I have clients right now that come to me and say, I don't know, I'm not sure if I'm ready. What can I do to make sure that I'm making the right choice? So then we talk about ways that we can mend it, techniques and strategies that they can put in place right now, so that if they decide to go down the path of divorce, they don't have any regrets. They know, you know what, I did everything I could. I tried everything I could. And now I'm choosing that divorce is right for me. And sometimes they choose it's not. And that's just as okay.
So people can reach out to you. They can email you or text you or phone you. What can they expect? Once they reach out to you, what can they expect?
So I'd love to have the first conversation with clients just to see where they're at. Give me a lowdown on your situation, what your relationship is like, and what you really want out of this, to see if we even have a good fit to work together. So all of my first calls with anyone are entirely complimentary, entirely confidential, and it's just a call to say, you know what, I'm struggling with this. How can you help me, or what should I do? And then we can have that conversation of what is it that you're going through and what do you want out of this? And I can hopefully give them some ideas and just be that sounding board and that thinking partner for them through this process.
So on that line, how do people get a hold of you?
They can text me directly, actually. Do you want me to tell you my number? To 778-837-1915. Or they can email me directly at cindystibbardcoaching@gmail.com. And those are the best ways. Today we're all about technology and the quick response. And I'm really great at the quick response. So texting is always a good way of doing it these days.
What's that number again?
778-837-1915.
I'll put it up on the screen. It's been excellent. That was a great visit. Anything else that I might have missed that you want to share with our viewers?
No, I think, James, it's awesome that you are shedding light on this. I think divorce is a topic that the stigma needs to be reduced on it. Everyone's going through it. It's one thing that happens in life, and it's okay. And I'm here to support people along the way. So thank you so much for having this conversation.
You're very welcome. Cindy Stibbard, owner of Divorce Redefined. Thank you, Cindy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.